Om Sai Ram. Chapter 6 Ram Navami Festival and Masjid Repairs. Efficacy of the touch of the Guru's hand, Ram Navami Festival, its origin, transformation, repairs of the Masjid. Before describing Ram Navami Festival and Masjid repairs, the author makes some preliminary remarks about Sadguru as follows. Efficacy of the touch of the Guru's hand. When Sadguru is the helmsman, he is sure to carry us safely and easily beyond the worldly ocean. The word Sadguru brings to mind Sai Baba, the perfect master. He appears to me as if standing before me and applying Udi, the sacred ashes, on my forehead and placing his hand of blessings on my head. Then joy fills my heart and overflows through my eyes. Wonderful is the power of the touch of the Guru's hand. The subtle body consisting of thoughts and desires, which cannot be burned by the gross fire, is destroyed by the mere touch of the Guru's hand, and the sins of many past births are clean and washed away. Even the speech of those who feel agitated when they hear religious and godly talks attain calmness. The sight of Sai Baba's handsome form chokes our throat with joy, makes the eyes overflow with tears, and overwhelms the heart with emotions. It awakens in us, I am He, Soham, Brahman consciousness, manifests the joy of self-realization and dissolving the distinction of I and thou, makes us one with the Supreme, one reality. When I begin to read the scriptures, at every step I am reminded of my Sadguru, Sai Baba. He assumes the form of Rama and Krishna and makes me listen to his life. For instance, when I think he is adhering the Bhagavata or the Uddhava Gita, he becomes Lord Krishna and Lord Rama. I am reminded of the Sadguru Sai Baba who assumes the form of Rama and Krishna and makes me listen to his life. For instance, when I sit to listen to the Bhagavata, Sai becomes Krishna from top to toe, and I think he sings the Bhagavat or the Uddhava Gita, the song of the teachings of Lord Krishna to his disciples Uddhava, for the welfare of the devotees. When I myself start to write anything, I cannot compose few words or sentences. But when he, of his own accord, makes me write, I go on writing. There is no end to it. When the disciples drop the egoism, then Baba with his hands gives him his power and makes him gain his object and thus satisfies him and blesses him. If anyone prostrates before Sai and surrenders heart and soul to him, then all the chief objects of life, dharma, righteousness, artha, wealth, kama, desire, moksha, deliverance, are easily attained unsolicitedly. 4 parts of karma, jnana, yoga, bhakti leads us separately to God. Of those, the path of bhakti is thorny and full of pits and ditches and thus difficult to traverse. But if you, relying on the Sadguru, avoid the pits and thorns and walk straight, it will take you to the destination, God. So says Sai Baba. After philosophizing about the self-existence of Brahman, his power, the Maya, to create the world, and the world created, and stating that all these three are ultimately one and the same, the author quotes Sai Baba's words, guaranteeing the welfare of the Bhaktas. There will never be dirt or scarcity regarding food and clothes in my devotees' home. It is my special characteristic that I always look to and provide for the welfare of those devotees who worship me wholeheartedly with their minds ever fixed on me. Lord Krishna has also said the same in the Gita. Therefore, strive not much for food and clothes. If you want anything, beg for the Lord to renounce the worldly honors. Try to get Lord's grace and blessings and be honored in His court. Do not be deluded by worldly honor. The form of the deity should be firmly fixed in the mind. Let all the senses and mind be ever devoted to the worship of the Lord. Let there be no attraction for any other thing. Fix the mind in remembering me always, so that it will not wander elsewhere, towards body, wealth, and home. Then it will be calm, peaceful, and carefree. This is a sign of the mind being well engaged in good company. If the mind is vagrant, it cannot be called well merged in him. After quoting these words, the author goes on to relate the story of Ram Navami festival in Shirdi. As Ram Navami is the most celebrated festival in Shirdi, and another full account is published in Sai Leela magazine of 1925, page 197. Is also referred to, and a summary of the festival is related in both these accounts is attempted here. Origin. One Mr. Gopal Gun was a surveyor in the survey department at Kopargaon. He was a great devotee of Baba. He had 3 wives but had no issue. With Sai Baba's blessing, a son was born to him. In the joy that he felt due to this, an idea of celebrating a fair or urus occurred to him in the year 1897, and he placed it for consideration before other Shirdi devotees, Tatya Patil, Dada Kote Patil, and Madhara Deshpande alias Shama. They all approved the idea and got it for Sai Baba's permission and blessing. Then an application for getting the collector's sanction for celebrating the urus was made. But as a village Kulkarni reported against holding the fair, the sanction was refused. But as Sai Baba had blessed it, they tried again and ultimately succeeded in getting the collector's sanction. The day for the urus was fixed on Ram Navami day after having consultation with Sai Baba. It seems Baba had some purpose in his mind, the unification of 2 festivals, the urus and the Ram Navami, and the unification of the 2 communities, the Hindus and the Muslims. As a future event showed, this event and object was duly achieved. Though the permission was obtained, but other difficulties cropped up. Shirdi was a village that had scarcity of water. There were 2 wells in the village. The one was for dried and the second was brackish. This brackish water was turned sweet by Sai Baba by putting flowers into it. As the water of this well was insufficient, so Tatya Patil had to arrange to get water from outside. Temporary shops were being constructed and wrestling bouts arranged. Gopal Rao Gund had a friend by the name Damu Anna Kaskar of Ahmednagar. He also was slightly unhappy in the matter of progeny, though he had 2 wives. He too was blessed by Sai Baba with sons, and Mr. Gund prevailed upon his friend to prepare and supply 1 flag for the procession of the fair. He also succeeded in including Mr. Nana Sahib Nimonkar to supply another flag. Both these flags were taken in procession through the village and finally fixed at the 2 corners of the masjid, which is called by Sai Baba as Dwarka Mai. This is being done even now. The Sandal Procession. There was another procession which was started in this fair. This idea of sandal procession was originated by one Mr. Amir Sarkar Dalal, a Mohammedan Bhakta from Kohla. This procession is held in the honor of great Muslim saints. Sandal, that is chandan paste, and scrapings are put in a thali, a flat dish, and carried with incense burning before them in the procession to the accompaniment of band and music through the village. And then after returning to the masjid, the contents of the dishes are thrown into the nimkar, the niche area, and the walls of the masjid with hands. This work was managed by Mr. Amir Sarkar for the first 3 years and then afterwards by his wife. So on the same day, the 2 processions, the flags of the Hindus and the sandal of the Muslims, went on side by side and are still going on without any problem. Arrangement. This day was very dear and sacred to the devotees of Sai Baba. Most of them turned up for the occasion and took part in the management of the fair. Tatya Kote Patil looked to all the outward affairs while the internal arrangement was entirely managed by Radhakrishna Mai, a female devotee of Baba. Her residence was full of guests on the occasion and she had to look after all their needs and also arrange for all the paraphernalia of the fair. Another work she was willingly doing was to clean and whitewash the entire masjid with walls and floors which were blackened and were full of soot on account of ever-burning duni, the sacred fire of Sai Baba. This work she did during the night, when Sai Baba went to sleep every alternate day in the chavdi. She had to take out the things, including the duni, and after thorough cleaning and whitewashing, replace them as they were before. Feeding the poor, which was so dear to Baba, was also a great item on the fair. For this purpose, the cooking on a grand scale and preparing various dishes was done by Radhakrishna's Mai in her lodging, and various rich and wealthy devotees took a leading part in this affair. Transformation of Urus into Ram Navami festival. Things were going on this way and the fair was gradually increasing in importance till 1912, when a change took place. That one year, one devotee, Mr. Krishna Rao Jogeshwar Bhishma, the author of Sai Sagunopasna, came to the fair with Dada Sahib Karpade of Amravati and was staying on the previous day in the Dikshit Vada. While he was lying on the veranda, Lakshman Rao, alias Kaka Mahajani, was going with the puja material to the masjid. A new thought arose in his mind, and he accosted the latter thus: "There is some providential arrangement, in fact, that the Urus or the fair is celebrated in Shirdi on a Ram Navami day. The Ram Navami day is very dear to all Hindus, and that is why not begin Ram Navami festival, the celebration of the birth of Sri Rama on this day here?" Kaka Mahajani liked the idea, and it was arranged to get Baba's permission in this matter. The main difficulty was how to secure a Haridas who would do kirtan and sing the glories of the Lord on the occasion. But Bhishma solved the difficulty by saying that his Ram Akhyan, the composition of Rama's birth, was ready and he would do the kirtan himself, while Kaka Mahachini should play on the harmonium. It was also arranged to get the Soont Vada, the ginger powder mixed with sugar, as prasad prepared by Radha Krishna Mai. So they immediately went to the masjid to get Baba's permission. Baba, who knew all these things and was also there, asked Mahajani as to what was going on in the Vada. Being rather perturbed, Mahajani could not catch the purport of the question, remained silent. Then Baba asked Bhish, what is it that you have to say? He explained the idea of celebrating Ram Navami festival and asked for Baba's permission, and Baba gladly gave it. All rejoiced and made preparation for the Jayanti festival. Next day, the masjid was decorated with buntings. A cradle was supplied by Radha Krishna Mai and placed in front of Baba's seat, and proceedings started. Bhishma stood up in front of Baba's seat and the proceedings started, and he started singing the kirtan, and Mahajani played the harmonium. Sai Baba sent a man to call Mahajani. He was hesitant to going whether Baba would allow the festival to go on. But when he went, Baba the later asked him as to what was going on and why the cradle was placed there. He answered that Ram Navami, the festival, had commenced and the cradle was put for that purpose. Then Baba took a garland from the Nimka, the niche area, and placed it around his neck and sent another garland for Bhishma. Then the kirtan commenced, and when it came to the close, sounds of victory to Rama went on. Gulal, the red powder, was thrown all around amidst band and music. Everybody was overjoyed when suddenly a roar was heard. The red powder, thrown promiscuously, went up and somehow fell into Baba's eyes. Baba got wild and began to scold and abuse people. People got frightened by this and began to take to their heels. The intimate devotees who knew Baba well took these scoldings and outpourings of Baba as blessings in disguise. They thought that when Rama was born, it was proper for Baba to get wild and enraged to kill Ravana, his demons, in the form of egoism and wicked thoughts. Besides, they knew that whenever a new thing was undertaken in Shirdi, it was usual that Baba got wild and angry, and so they kept quiet. Radha Krishna Mai was rather afraid and thought that Baba might break her cradle, and she asked Mahajani to pull the cradle back. When he tried to loosen the cradle, Baba went to him and asked him not to remove it. And then after some time, Baba became calm and the day's program, including Mahapuja and Aarti, was finished. Later on, Mr. Mahajani asked Baba for permission to remove the cradle. Baba refused, saying that the festival is not yet finished. Next day, another kirtan and Gopal Kala ceremony, the earthen pot containing parched rice with curds, was hung and to be broken after the kirtan, and the contents distributed to all, as was done by Lord Krishna amongst his cowherd friends, and performed, and then Baba allowed the cradle to be removed. While the Ram Navami festival was going on, the procession of the two flags by day, that of the sandal by the night, went off with usual pomp and show. From this time onwards, the Urus of Baba was transformed into Ram Navami festival. Next year in 1930, the items in the program of Ram Navami festival began to increase. Radha Krishna Mai started Nama Sapta, singing the glory of the Lord's name continuously day and night for 7 days, and from the 11th day of Chaitra. For this, all devotees took part in terms, and she also joined sometimes early in the morning. As Ram Navami festival is celebrated in many places all over the country, the difficulty of getting a Haridas was felt again. But 5 or 6 days before the festival, Mahajani incidentally met Balabua, who was known as a modern Tukaram, and got him to do the kirtan that year. The next year, 1914, another Balabua Satarkar of Birad, Siddha Katewade, district Satara, could not act as Haridas in his own town as plague was prevailing there, so he came to Shirdi. With Baba's permission, which was secured through Kaka Sahib Dikshit, he did the kirtan and was sufficiently recompensated for his labor. The difficulty of getting a new Haridas every year was finally solved in 1914 by Sai Baba, as he entrusted the function to Das Ganu Maharaj permanently, and since then he has been successfully and credibly conducting the function up till now. Since 1912, this festival began to grow gradually year after year. From 8th to 12th of Chaitra, Shirdi looked like a beehive of men. Shops began to increase, celebrated wrestlers took part in wrestling bouts, feeding of the poor was done on a grand scale. Hard work and sincere efforts by Radha Krishna Mai turned Shirdi into a sansthan. Paraphernalia increased. A beautiful horse, a pangyun, a chariot, and many silver items, utensils, pots, buckets, pictures, mirrors, etc. were presented. Elephants were also sent for the procession. Though all this paraphernalia increased enormously, Sai Baba ignored all these things and maintained his simplicity and modesty as before. It is to be noted that both Hindus and Mohammedans have been working in unison in both the processions during the entire festival. And there has been no confrontation, no quarrel between them for all so many years. For about 5 to 7,000 people used to be there in the beginning, but the figure went up to 75,000 in some years. And there is no outbreak of any epidemic or disease or any riots worth the name during so many years. Repairs of the masjid. Another important idea occurred to Gopal Gund just as he started the Urus fair. He thought that he should repair and renovate the masjid. So in order to carry on the repairs, he collected stones and got them dressed. But this work was not assigned to him. It was reserved for Nana Sahib Chandorkar and the payment work to Kaka Sahib Dikshit. Initially, Baba was unwilling to allow them to do this work done. But the intervention of Malsapati, a local devotee of Baba, his permission was secured. Baba took a small gadi for his seat and discarding his usual piece of sackcloth, used it then. In 1911, the Sabha Mandap, the courtyard, was all put in order with great labor and effort. The open space in front of the masjid was very small and inconvenient. Kaka Sahib Dikshit wanted to extend it and put roofing on it. At great expense, he got iron post pillars, trustees, and started the work. At night, all the devotees worked hard and fixed the posts. But Baba, when he returned from Chavdi next morning, uprooted them all and threw them out. Once it so happened that Baba got so angry and excited, he caught a pole with one hand and began to shake and uproot it, and with the other hand caught the neck of Tata Patil. It took by force Tata Patil's peta and struck a match and set it on fire and threw it in the pit. At that time, Baba's eyes flashed like burning embers. None dared to look at him. All got terribly frightened. Baba took out a rupee from his pocket and threw it in it, as if it was an offering on an auspicious occasion. Tata was much frightened. None knew what was going to happen to Tatya, and none dared to interfere. Bayoji Shinde, the leper devotee of Baba, made a bold advance, but he was pushed aside by Baba. Madhara also similarly treated, pelted with brick pieces. So all those who went to intercede were similarly dealt with. But after some time, Baba's anger cooled down. He sent for a shopkeeper, got him a new embroidered feta, and himself tied it on Tatya's head, as if he has been given a special honor. All the people were wonderstruck to see his strange behavior of Baba. They were at loss to know what enraged Baba so suddenly and what led him to assault Tatya Patil, and why his anger got cooled down the next moment. Baba was sometimes very calm and quiet and talked sweet things with love, but suddenly, with or without any pretext, got enraged. Many such incidents may be related, but I do not know which to choose and which to omit. I therefore refer them as they occur to me. In the next chapter, the question whether Baba was a Hindu or a Mohammedan will be taken up, and his yogic practices and porous and other matters will also be dealt with. Woe to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.